This is a training video for Laxcel. Laxcel is a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet that has been fully automated to make scoring lacrosse games very easy. This video is designed to walk you step by step through using Laxcel to easily score any lacrosse game at any level. Laxcel combines the familiar look of a traditional lacrosse scorebook with the power and simplicity of an electronic interface. Before you begin, I would strongly suggest creating a copy of the original file and leave it blank as a template for future seasons. Create a separate copy for each team and season. When you first launch the spreadsheet, you may see a security warning. You must click the Enable Content button for the spreadsheet to function properly. Before using the spreadsheet, you must perform an initial setup. Select the Roster tab located on the bottom left-hand side of the screen. Add your team name where indicated. Enter the number, first and last name of each player on the roster, along with their positions, and be sure to include the goalies. The player number, first name, last name, and position are required. The year and team are optional and for informational purposes only. You should be sure to list the players in numerical order. It is very important that you don't drag and drop the rows to a different location, as this will destroy the links to the individual game sheets. List the goalies where indicated, even though they are already listed on the roster. Unlike the roster, they should be listed in the order they are likely to play, with the starters listed first. Also, create a directory where you want to store your data and type in the path for the default file location where indicated. Finally, list the first and last names along with email addresses of the coaches or anyone else you wish to receive statistical data. To begin scoring a game, select the tab for the appropriate game. The sheet will look much like a traditional paper scorebook. The first step is to input your lineup. Simply type the player number. The player's name will automatically be filled in from the roster. For reserves, their position will also automatically be added. Click the Game Setup button to prepare the game. The Game Setup dialog box will appear. Your team name will automatically be populated with the name you provided in the Roster tab. Type in the opponent's name, the date, the site, the name of the scorekeeper, and the length of the quarters. The quarter length is a required field as it is used to calculate penalty release times. When finished, click the OK button. You are now ready to score your game. To begin, simply click the Score Game button. The Game Time Scoring dialog box will appear. You will notice that all of the dialog boxes are oversized. This is to enable them to be easily seen in bright sunlight and to allow the buttons to be easily tapped with your finger if using a touch screen or tablet. By default, the quarter will be set to 1 at the beginning of each game. It is important that you remember to advance to the next quarter when a previous quarter ends. Also, remember to select the goalie that is currently in the game from the drop-down list to ensure that any saves are credited to the correct goalie. While the teams are lining up, click the Player In button to mark the players in the game for this quarter. A dialog box will appear listing the roster for today's game in the order you listed them on the Roster tab. Click the checkbox next to each player. Once all players on the field have been accounted for, click OK. You should repeat this procedure each time a new player enters the field and at the beginning of each quarter. As you use the system, the score sheet is automatically updated in the background. You will see that the appropriate quarter number is added for each player you selected. If a player has not been listed as being on the field and they make a play such as a ground ball, shot, goal, or assist, they will automatically be listed as participating in the current quarter. When action begins, click whether your team won or lost the face-off. If you won the face-off, the system will record this and automatically record a lost face-off for the opponent or vice versa. To record ground balls, click the Ground Ball button. A dialog box will appear listing all players on the roster in the order you listed them on the Roster tab. Click the player number to record the ground ball. The system adds a ground ball for the appropriate player on the score sheet. The procedure is exactly the same for recording shots. Record clears and failed clears by clicking the appropriate button. The system will record them for the current quarter. One advantage over a manual scorebook is the ability to track turnovers committed by your team as well as those by the opponent. Click the turnover button for each turnover committed by your team. The system will record a committed turnover for the current quarter. If your team causes the other team to turn the ball over, click the caused button. The system will record a caused turnover for you and automatically record a committed turnover for your opponent. If your goalie has a save, make sure the proper goalie is selected from the drop-down box and click the Save button. The system records the save for the selected goalie in the current quarter and also automatically records a shot for the opponent. You can also track your opponent's ground balls, shots, saves, clears, failed clears, and turnovers with the click of a button. Of these, tracking the opponent's saves is the most important because these are necessary to determine your team's shooting accuracy. To record a penalty, click the penalty flag button. The penalty dialog box will appear. Click the team that committed the penalty and enter the number of the player. Note that you can either use your computer's keyboard or tab key or the numeric pad on the screen. If using the on-screen pad, you can advance between fields by either clicking directly in the field itself or clicking the next button. If you make an error, you can clear the field by clicking the Clear button. Select the penalty committed from the infraction drop-down list. Select the penalty time from the duration drop-down list. Input the minute and second that the penalty occurred. You should click the NR check button if the penalty is non-releasable. Click Record to record the penalty. The penalty will be recorded in the penalties section of the score sheet. Another advantage over a manual scorebook is that the system automatically calculates the release time. This is particularly helpful if the penalty occurs near the end of a quarter and will be released in the following quarter. Often during a game, you will need to quickly see the release times for penalties or the timeout situation for a particular team. You can do this by clicking the Quick View button. The Quick View screen appears and shows every penalty in the game along with the time of the infraction and the release time for each player. It also shows the timeouts taken by each team. When a goal is scored, select the team that scored. The Goal Scored dialog box will appear with the scoring team automatically selected. Input the number of the player that scored the goal. Input the number of the player who had the assist, or leave this field blank if the goal was unassisted. Input the minute and second of the goal and click Record. The system will complete the score sheet in the background, including adding the goal, assist, and time of the goal on the score line. It will also add the goal to the quarter and game total on the score line, add a shot and goal for the appropriate player in the lineup, add the assist in the lineup, add a shot to the quarter's shot total, list the players in the individual scoring section, and finally, check the goal time against the release time of any penalties and add an extra man goal if applicable. For timeouts, click the Timeout button. The Timeout dialog box will appear. Select the team that called the timeout, enter the minute and the second of the timeout and click OK. The timeout will be recorded in the appropriate section of the score sheet. The system will also warn you if the team calling the timeout has already used their allotment of timeouts for the current half. Should you make an error in recording any play, simply click the Undo button followed by the button of the action you wish to undo. The system will subtract from the total and ask for the individual player if necessary. For goals, the system reverses all of the actions associated with the most recent goal for the team you selected. For penalties and timeouts, a dialog box will appear asking you to select a team, and the system will delete the most recent penalty or timeout for the team you select. At any time during the game, you can click the Stats button. This brings up the stats screen that details both teams' totals for the game and lists the leading scorers. If you have a wireless hotspot or other internet connection, you can instantly send the game stats to everyone whose email address you included on the roster tab. If the coaching staff has the ability to receive emails on their mobile phones, this feature allows them to have instant access to the current game stats when addressing the team at halftime or immediately following the game. When you click the Send button, a dialog box will appear asking you to make sure that Microsoft Outlook is running. You must have Outlook installed on your system and running in order to use this feature. If Outlook is not running, you should launch it prior to clicking the OK button. Click the OK button to proceed, and you will receive a confirmation that the stats have been sent. The recipients will receive comprehensive statistics for the game, along with the leading scores for each team. These stats are formatted properly to display nicely on a mobile phone. When the game is over, click the Finalize Game button. This will clean up the sheet and total all of the game stats. You can click the PDF button to create a PDF of the completed score sheet. This will be saved in the directory you provided on the roster sheet. The PDF file is nearly identical to a traditional lacrosse scorebook, but contains much more statistical data that has been automatically calculated. These sheets can then be printed, hole punched, and maintained in a binder just like a traditional scorebook. When the game has been completed, select the Season tab to see the season totals of all important stats along with season totals for each individual player. I hope you enjoy using Laxcel and welcome your feedback. Should you wish to contact me, please send an email to pbonnell@zoominternet.net. Thank you.